There has been a lot of Hot Wheels video games over the years. That isn't surprising given that Mattel is a pretty successful toy company, but what constantly baffles me is that both World Race and Battle Force 5 had video game adaptations, but there was none for Acceleracers. It's so strange. There were 11 games in the time between 2000 and 2004. 11. They were on a roll of at least 1 or 2 Hot Wheels games every year until 2005, which is conveniently the same time as Acceleracers. That just begs the question, where is it? We did get 2 online games, one of which you can't play anymore due to its servers being shut down, but no video game. Now, I do have a few theories as to why. 1, they wanted to make one after all the movies got released, but since it got cancelled, the plans fell through. 2, they literally just didn't want to make one. They realized that they were oversaturating the consumer base and decided to stay low when Acceleracers came around. 3, it just never got planned or asked or anything, just completely forgotten. 4, there was a video game in development, but after Acceleracers got cancelled, they salvaged it into a new game. In the end, there's no evidence supporting any of these. Well, except maybe for the last one, as there is a game that features various Acceleracers references and models, and that game is Hot Wheels. Beat that. Although it was released in 2007, among the 26 cars available in the game, 10 of them were from Acceleracers. Mind you, for most of them it featured the Acceleron series and Rum Colors paints. The game also had ignition DVD cases placed throughout the bedroom races as obstacles. Why? Probably advertising. I used to think that maybe Beat That was originally an Acceleracers game, but in hindsight, besides including Acceleracers cars and merchandise, it has no similarities in terms of tracks or style. So even if it was planned to be an Acceleracers game in the first place, they would have had to completely redesign the game when Acceleracers was cancelled, which doesn't seem doable if they gave the developers a small budget. Okay, so now it's over. Beat That was the closest thing we got, right? Well, there's still one more game that I didn't mention. 2 months before Beat That, there was another Hot Wheels game that was released exclusively for the PSP. Some of you might already know this one, but I've never heard of it until like a year ago, so without further ado, it's Hot Wheels Ultimate Racing by Raylight Studios. Oh boy, this game is pretty much the opposite of Beat That, as in Beat That had many of the same cars, but the environments were nothing alike. But Ultimate Racing has one of the Acceleracers cars, Spectite for some reason named High Voltage instead, but the environments are extremely alike. There are 4 leagues or cups in the game that take place in different regions, each with 3 tracks. They are Volcano, Jungle, Death Valley, which is really just a desert. I don't know why they gave it such an ominous name, and Metropolis. I'll go to the similarities in that order as well, also with miscellaneous details at the end. Volcano. You know, with it being volcano themed, it's automatically pretty similar to the lava realm, with the heat flares and rocky environments. But the lava realm doesn't really have any recognizable landmarks besides that pretty generic landscape, so who's really to say? In Volcano 02, there's a section where you go through a giant loop and then a jump. This could be similar to that same configuration in the first leg of World Race, but it's a fairly usual setup for a Hot Wheels track, so I could just be stretching it. Take your pick, I guess. Now on to Jungle. Ooh. Let's just say they have a
remarkable resemblance
to the Swamp Realm. Jungle 01. Already you can tell that the atmosphere is really similar to the swamp realm with the green fog, swampy, mossy track, and the large trees. There's also a whole underwater section with the underwater tubing and the same skeletal anglerfish as the water realm. Jungle 03 is even more similar. Not only does it have the same spinning ring as in World Race, but also the swamp beast, dingly arms and all. And now on to Death Valley, or Desert. Desert 1 could be similar to the Desert Realm, a realm that was only featured in the card game, with its scorpion-like crab claws as obstacles, which fits the description of the card. Desert 03 is similar to World Race's Desert Lake, with a giant T-Rex that you race through. And finally, Metropolis. Metropolis 01 has similarities with the Junk Realm, with piles of trash, scraps of metal, just an all-around murky red color scheme. Also, possibly the same scrapyard dinosaur. There isn't very good look at him at the footage, so it's a maybe. Also, I know what you're thinking, or at least what I was thinking. Metropolis, is there like a Metro Realm similarity in there? Well, unfortunately, no. In Metropolis 03, although it has the same idea of neon lights and buildings, the general scheme and aesthetic are different. Also, King Kong is there. And now on to the miscellaneous similarities. The track is similar to the World Race track, except just way thicker and dirtied up. And the starting line is almost exactly from World Race. Its winged little arms or whatever on the side of the stoplight are the same. All of these similarities convinced me that it was at one point an Acceleracers game. I even contacted Rayout Studios themselves about it. But to my surprise, they responded, explaining the entire situation. However, when I asked them if it was okay to quote them, they've since not replied. As I was editing this video, they actually did reply, but it was unrelated to the research, so I'll just keep it in there. So, I won't say all of what they said, but what I hope I can say at the least is that my theory was wrong. Ultimate Racing was only inspired by Acceleracers. Overall, it makes sense. They combined a lot of elements from both Acceleracers and World Race, and some of their own ideas, into a pretty sweet looking racing game. But for now, that settles it. My search is complete. I think Ultimate Racing is the closest thing we've got. If there was ever an Acceleracers video game, even in the conceptual stage, it never saw the light of day. And to be honest, I'm okay with that. I'm kind of bummed out that we never got one, but looking at Beat That, Ultimate Racing, and all the fan games, it fills that void pretty well. It would have been nice to have, but there's no point in dwelling in the past. We can only change the future. And in a way, I feel like that sums up Acceleracers in general. Not only in the real world with its cancellation, but also in universe with the troubled rivalry of Null and Torque. They both forgave each other for what happened and in the past, and reconciled. And on that note, thanks for watching, and see ya. Thanks for watching the video. It took a long time to make. This is my first sort of informational type kind of video as opposed to my YouTube hoops or compilations. So let me know how I did and what I should change next time. Thanks.